There are films that entertain us, films that move us, and then there are films that stay with us forever. Interstellar belongs to that rare category, a story that challenges our imagination, touches our emotions, and dares to weave real physics into the heart of its plot. But for many viewers, one question remains: what exactly happens at the end? How can a man fall into a supermassive black hole and survive? What is that strange geometric space filled with infinite shelves? Who are the beings that created it? And how can gravity be used to send messages through time? Today, we'll break down all of it step by step in a way that stays faithful to the science behind the film, while keeping the explanation accessible and intuitive. This is the complete scientific explanation of the ending of Interstellar. To understand the ending, we need to start with the black hole itself, Gargantua. In the movie, Gargantua is a supermassive black hole, millions of times the mass of the Sun. This detail matters a lot. In a smaller stellar mass black hole, the tidal forces near the event horizon are so extreme that the difference in gravity between your head and your feet would tear you apart instantly. This effect is known as spaghettification, but in a supermassive black hole, the gradient of gravitational force is much smaller at the horizon. This means that, in theory, a person crossing it wouldn't feel anything unusual at first. So yes, scientifically speaking, Cooper could survive long enough to experience something inside Gargantua. What we don't know, of course, is what lies beyond the event horizon. This is where physics transitions from what we can calculate to the edge of what we can only imagine. And this is where Kip Thorne's creativity comes into play. At the very center of a black hole, general relativity predicts a singularity, a point of infinite density and zero volume. But we know relativity is incomplete here. Quantum physics must play a role. Since no current theory fully unifies these two realms, Thorne had freedom to explore ideas consistent with modern theoretical physics. He chose to introduce a concept inspired by string theory, higher dimensional spaces, brane cosmology, and the idea that gravity is the only force capable of propagating through extra dimensions inside Gargantua. Cooper doesn't hit a singularity. Instead, he arrives in a space created by advanced beings, rooted in these theories, a space known as the tesseract. A tesseract is the four-dimensional analog of a cube, sometimes referred to as a hypercube. We, as three-dimensional beings, cannot visualize a true hypercube. But in the film, the tesseract is shown as a three-dimensional slice of a higher dimensional structure. Think of it like this. A 3D object casts a 2D shadow. A 4D object would cast a 3D shadow. That shadow is the tesseract Cooper experiences. It is not naturally occurring, it is constructed. But constructed by whom? Throughout the film, characters refer to mysterious beings simply as they. Most people assume they're aliens, but they're not. They are future humans, but not biological humans like us. According to the interpretation provided by Kip Thorne, they are descendants of humanity who evolved to perceive higher dimensions, transcended physical limitations, and learned to manipulate the structure of space-time itself. These beings inhabit the bulk, a higher dimensional space proposed in some versions of string theory. In this framework, our universe is a brane, a three-dimensional slice embedded in the higher dimensional bulk. Gravity is the only force that can leak between dimensions, which explains why it seems weaker than the other fundamental forces. These future humans, equipped with the ability to operate in these higher dimensions, create two things. The wormhole near Saturn, the tesseract, inside Gargantua, both are built using exotic matter, the theoretical kind of matter needed to stabilize wormholes. They create these structures so that Cooper can do one thing: send information back in time. Gravity is the only force that can propagate through all dimensions of the bulk. This is why it's so essential in the movie's final act. Inside the tesseract, Cooper has access to every moment in Murph's bedroom, every point in time, represented geometrically, but he cannot physically interact with it. He can only influence it through gravity. This detail is not only consistent with the film's internal logic, it is consistent with brane cosmology. Because gravity can move between dimensions, Cooper can use it to create small, precise disturbances, nudging books, altering dust patterns, and, ultimately, transmitting complex data. But how do you encode data in gravity? Cooper does something brilliantly simple. He turns physics into language. The ticks of the second hand on the watch become bits of data. Each gravitational pulse corresponds to a dot or a dash. With this mechanism, Cooper transmits the quantum data obtained from inside Gargantua, which Tars recorded earlier. This data allows Murph to complete the gravitational equation that can save humanity. But here's the crucial part. The loop works because Cooper always did it. He was always the ghost, he was always the one sending the messages. The timeline is self-consistent. There is no paradox. One of the most brilliant choices by Kip Thorne and Christopher Nolan is that the ending avoids breaking physics with paradoxes. Instead of alternate timelines or contradictory events, the film employs something known as a causal loop, allowed by some solutions to general relativity. In a causal loop, a future event causes a past event. That past event leads to the future event. The loop is stable and self-consistent. Cooper only travels to Gargantua because Murph solved the equation. Murph only solves the equation because Cooper sends the data. Cooper sends the data because he falls into Gargantua, a perfect circle, consistent, complete, elegant. The ending of Interstellar is emotional, yes, but it is also scientifically ambitious. It incorporates general relativity, high-dimensional geometry, brane cosmology, quantum gravity, exotic matter, tidal forces, causal loops, time as a dimension in a 4D manifold. It takes theories at the frontier of modern physics and translates them into storytelling in a way no other film has accomplished. Cooper survives not because the laws of physics are broken, but because the black hole is supermassive, the singularity is replaced by a higher dimensional construct, gravity is used as communication, future humans manipulate space-time, and the tesseract provides a bridge between dimensions and timelines. This is why the ending feels surreal and yet strangely grounded, because it is. Once the mission is complete, the tesseract collapses. Why? Because its purpose is fulfilled. Future humans no longer need to maintain the structure once the data has been transmitted and the causal loop is stable. Cooper is then ejected from the bulk back into normal space-time near Saturn, where the wormhole entrance was placed. This is a narrative convenience, but not an unscientific one. The exit point simply aligns with where the tesseract's dimensional bridge was anchored. Humanity survives. Murph solves the equation. The stations lift off Earth, and Cooper, saved by the same beings who created the wormhole, awakens in a future he helped build. Ultimately, the ending of Interstellar is not about breaking physics, it is about expanding it. It takes the most advanced theoretical ideas we have, extra dimensions, bulk spaces, string theory, gravitational leakage, quantum data extraction, stable wormholes, higher dimensional geometry, and self-consistent time loops, and it turns them into a story about hope, connection, and the power of communication across time and space. The final message of the film is deeply scientific. Love is not a mystical force, but gravity, the one force that binds everything together, can reach across dimensions, timelines, and even universes. Interstellar doesn't ask us to abandon science. It asks us to imagine what the science of the far future could achieve. And that is what makes the ending one of the most beautiful ever written.